Welcome to the Sleep Dives channel. Today, we're diving into pages 454 to 487 of our source material, covering everything from skillful discussion at Intel to bringing diverse people together for a common purpose. Ever been in a meeting that feels like it's just going in circles? Yeah, we've all been there. We're going to unpack exactly why that happens, and even better, how to fix it. We'll look at some really powerful frameworks that can take a team from total gridlock to a real breakthrough. So, let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? You're trapped in a meeting, the energy just drains out of the room, and you're talking about the same thing over and over with zero progress. It's so frustrating. But here's the thing. It's not just a bad day at the office. It's actually a sign that there are these powerful, kinda invisible forces at play, and they're seriously sabotaging your team's potential.
All right, so how do we actually fix these broken conversations? Well, the first step is always diagnosis. It's a bit like a doctor. They can't treat an illness until they know exactly what it is, right? It's the same for us. We need a clear, precise language to actually name the dysfunctions that are crippling our teams.
And look, these aren't just vague feelings of frustration. They are specific, well-defined problems with names. You've got things like undiscussables, the classic elephant in the room that everyone sees but is too scared to talk about. And then you have something called the Abilene paradox, which is a really fascinating trap that so many teams fall into without even realizing it. So what is the Abilene paradox? It's this really strange but powerful thing that happens in groups. Picture this. Everyone secretly disagrees with a decision, but they all go along with it because they think everyone else agrees. It's wild. The fear of causing a bit of friction is so strong that the entire team ends up, metaphorically, on a long, hot road trip to a town that absolutely nobody wanted to go to. It's a huge lesson in the danger of, not managing your agreements properly.
Okay, but the good news is, we don't have to be stuck in these cycles forever. There are some really simple yet powerful tools that are kind of like first aid for your meetings. They can bring that much-needed honesty and clarity right back into the room. Let's have a look at one of the best ones.
This one is a real game changer. It's called the popular postmortem. It's so simple, at the end of every meeting, everyone just anonymously rates it from 1 to 7. Then you tally up the scores on a whiteboard or flip chart for everyone to see. Now here's the key part. If there are any low scores, say below a 4, that becomes an open invitation to talk about why. It's a brilliantly simple method for creating a safe space to get the kind of feedback that usually just gets bottled up.
And you know what? The results can be absolutely transformative. The book tells this great story about an employee who was totally disengaged. The guy just sitting there bored, waiting for the meeting to end. But after they started doing these postmortems, he completely changed. He became this proactive leader in the meetings. And why? Because the process forced him to actually think about what he needed to make the meeting valuable. It's just a perfect example of how one simple tool can fundamentally shift the entire dynamic of a team.
Now here's another tool, and it might sound a bit counterintuitive. It's strategic silence. Think about it. When a discussion gets really heated and everyone's talking over each other, anyone can just call for a pause. And this isn't about being angry or frustrated. It's a chance for everyone to quiet the noise in their own head and really listen for what the book calls the gathered mind, the collective wisdom of the group. It's amazing how often the best ideas pop up in those moments of stillness.
Okay, so we've talked about some first aid tools. Now let's go a level deeper. There's this really powerful framework called structural dynamics that helps us see the hidden architecture of our conversations. It's all about revealing the invisible roles that we all naturally fall into and how those roles totally shape the outcome of every single discussion.
Basically, this framework says there are 4 key roles, or stances. You've got the mover, that's the person who initiates an idea. Then there's the opposer, who challenges it. You have the follower, who supports either the mover or the opposer. And finally, the bystander, who just observes and reflects. Now, in a really healthy, high-performing team, people can switch between these roles easily. The real trouble starts when people get stuck or trapped in just one of them.
And to see just how destructive it can be when these roles become rigid, the book gives us this cautionary tale about a company called Silent Hand. This was a team full of brilliant people. Absolute geniuses. But they found themselves completely paralyzed. Their incredible potential was just locked away because they couldn't break free from the roles they'd been forced into. So here's what happened at Silent Hand. The co-founder, a guy named Tom, he became this tyrannical over. He just crushed any idea that wasn't his. And that, in turn, completely silenced the team's creative genius, Thompson, who was the natural opposer. Then there was Previn, the wise old bystander of the group. He was just ignored, treated like a caricature. And so everyone else,
they had no choice but to be followers. The end result was just a tragic waste. They lost all their creativity, their flexibility, and they couldn't even make simple decisions anymore. And all of this brings us to a really profound idea. It's that the diversity in our teams, all our different perspectives, our styles, the different roles we play, that's not a problem we have to manage. It's actually a superpower, just waiting to be unlocked.
There's a great quote from Michelle Hunt, who was at Herman Miller, and she just nails it. She said, "We could never get to high-performance participation without valuing the uniqueness that each person brought to the organization." It's such a powerful reminder that true excellence doesn't come from everyone being the same. It comes from skillfully weaving together all those different points of view.
And this really represents a massive shift in how we think about diversity. The old view, that was all about compliance, right? A box-ticking exercise to meet a mandate. But the new view sees that diversity is the absolute lifeblood of innovation and excellence. It's not about putting people into categories, it's about unleashing the unique genius that every single person brings to the table. And maybe the most powerful example of this in the whole book comes from the South Africa forums. Just imagine this. In the wake of apartheid, you have bitter enemies who now have to figure out how to build a new nation together. Their breakthrough moment, the thing that changed everything, was when they stopped arguing about their incredibly painful past and instead started sharing their personal visions for the future. And in those visions, they found this unexpected common ground, these shared values that literally became the foundation for a new South Africa.
So, the big question is, how do we take all these powerful ideas and actually bring them into our own teams? Let's break it down into a clear path forward, a practical guide to make this stuff real.
Right, here's your playbook. First, just start by observing. Really watch your team's dynamics. Who's the mover? Who's the opposer? Then, try introducing just one simple tool, like that popular postmortem we talked about, just to get the lines of communication opening up. Next, pay attention to those roles. Are people flexible? Are they getting stuck? And finally, see if you can find the courage to gently, carefully ask about one of those undiscussables. Just remember, it's these small, consistent steps that create real, lasting change. Look, the journey from gridlock to breakthrough, it really does start with a single conversation. So, as you think about everything we've talked about today, I want to leave you with this question to reflect on. What is the one conversation that, if you had it, could unlock the full, incredible potential of your team?